Imagine leading tens of thousands of soldiers, thousands of horses, and even a herd of war elephants. Yes, elephants, into a freezing, jagged mountain range with no maps, no clear paths, and the enemy waiting on the other side. Sounds like a death wish, right? Well, that's exactly what Hannibal Barca did in 218 BC. This is the story of the army that marched into nowhere. At the height of the Second Punic War, Carthage and Rome were locked in a brutal struggle for supremacy. While most generals would take the obvious route, land a fleet, fight a few skirmishes, and hope for the best, Hannibal wasn't most generals. No, he wanted to do the unthinkable. Instead of confronting Rome head-on, he planned to hit them where they least expected it, their own backyard. But to do that, he had to cross the Alps. The Alps weren't just a natural barrier, they were a nightmare. Towering peaks, unpredictable snowstorms, narrow mountain trails barely wide enough for a man, let alone an elephant. Roman historians thought it was suicide. Even his own officers doubted him. But Hannibal had one thing they didn't: absolute, almost terrifying, belief in the impossible. The march began with around 90,000 infantry, 12,000 cavalry, and 37 elephants. They left Spain, crossed into southern Gaul, fought off hostile tribes, and then reached the Alps. That's when things got ugly. Ice and snow turned every step into a gamble. Supplies ran low, soldiers slipped off cliffs, elephants froze to death. Entire segments of the army vanished into crevasses and avalanches. The mountain gods, it seemed, wanted them gone. For 2 brutal weeks, Hannibal's army battled nature more than any enemy. Men starved, horses collapsed, morale shattered. The Alps didn't care about Hannibal's grand vision. They just punished anyone foolish enough to challenge them. From one end of the range to the other, it felt like they were marching into nothingness, into nowhere. And yet somehow they made it. When Hannibal and his ragged army finally emerged from the mountains into northern Italy, they had lost nearly half their men. Only 20,000 infantry, 6,000 cavalry, and a few stubborn elephants remained. But Rome wasn't celebrating, because this nowhere they marched into, it was the heart of Roman territory, and Hannibal had brought war to their doorstep in a way no one ever had. What followed was a series of devastating battles. Hannibal's army, though battered, would crush Roman legions at Trebia, Lake Trasimene, and the infamous Battle of Cannae, where he orchestrated one of the greatest tactical masterclasses in history. And it all began with a march that no sane general would have attempted. Hannibal didn't just cross the Alps. He rewrote the rules of ancient warfare. His journey was part madness, part genius, and entirely legendary. The phrase, "the army that marched into nowhere," isn't just poetic, it's historical truth. Because for weeks, Hannibal led his men into a land that offered no guarantee of survival, no promise of success, only the hope that, on the other side, history would remember them. And it did. So the next time someone tells you something is impossible, just remember Hannibal and the army that marched into nowhere and changed the world.